If you've been surfing gacha games in recent years, you may have come across this funny-looking chibi character. As a game that actually shut down and relaunched after making improvements, Trickal has been an idle gacha game that has been making waves. A good chunk of its fame comes from this one iconic character that some people outside the community might recognize even if they haven't played the game yet. I mainly want to cover Trickal to highlight the importance of how marketing and character design can literally save a game from dying, and whether the game itself is any good after I played it for a week or so. Trickal Chibi Go is developed by a Korean developer company called Epid Games, and actually relaunched late last year due to the first iteration containing many gameplay and software issues. The original launched years ago in 2021, and it looks quite different than what it is now. While the gameplay certainly wasn't that innovative, the unique art style it has earned itself a fanbase that would check out the game. Unfortunately, due to said issues, the game was pulled offline and they reworked it until last year, now having been released under the new name Trickal Chibi Go. According to sources, the CEO of the company mortgaged his house to fund the redevelopment of the game. I guess he believed there was a hidden untapped market in this comical chibi art style, went all in, and it actually paid off. At the time, you likely came across this character that populated online feeds when the game launched. There's something about this funny looking avatar of Speaki that caused the character to go viral. In a nutshell, this is the power of character designs in gacha games. Every game wants a Speaki of their own. Why bother spending tons on marketing when your fans can do it for you free of charge? Of course, they were smart enough to capitalize on this by incorporating the memes into their official marketing, and it just snowballed from there. It's the same deal as Doro from Nikke. Even when it's unintentional, I think this is the power of designing a character that manages to capture a large audience. It's a case of how a single character design can save a gacha game. Once the Speaki meme spread, the rest is history. While the game didn't reach mainstream levels of success, the game itself became a staple in the world of idle games. Now obviously, a single character design can't save the game if the game itself is terrible, so let's see what Trickal is all about. As I understand it, you're the only human in this weird fantasy world where everyone else is a chibi character colored by crayons. Don't expect a thrilling story, you're mainly playing this for the chibis. The main selling point they came up with is that due to the inflamed cheeks of the avatars, you can pull on said cheeks as an interaction. You can do this on most menus, and that's kind of the gimmick of the game. But aside from that, the art style it has is unseen from most other gacha games, and people came to find the characters charming. So even if the gameplay doesn't stand out, as long as it's enjoyable and doesn't detract from the enjoyment of pinching cheeks, everything should be fine. At its core, Trickal is an idle game that bases its systems off other popular idle games. The closest resemblance will be Princess Connect, though I'm not sure if Princess Connect also modeled its systems from another game that came before it. The gameplay has a blend of classic auto battling and auto chess mechanics. There are 3 lanes for your units when preparing to enter a level. And the chibis, called apostles, can only be slotted into one of the 3 lanes. When the level starts, you're given a number of coins that you can either buy an apostle to fit into your lineup or upgrade an existing one. 3 of your team members will be rolled at random to be placed on the board already, so you won't have to buy everyone back. Once combat starts, you can't control anything, and your chibis will battle it out by themselves. Each stage will usually have multiple rounds of combat, and in the next buffer phase, you can use the coins you earned and unused ones from the previous rounds to continue upgrades. If you manage to get the star tier of a unit to its max, then during the stage, you can use their character skill. There may also be times when a piece of equipment becomes purchasable to be equipped on someone, and times when you get a universal passive buff to the whole party. If you manage to save up a lot of coins across rounds, then you're also paid interest for hanging on to it, though you don't get any interest if your coin count is low. For some reason, there's a timer countdown in the buffer phase that I thought was a bit weird, but okay. There's also a timer in combat itself, so if you can't beat it in time, it's also counted as a loss. During the time I played, I never really had much trouble with content, but I realized that's a normal trend with these idle games. I just upgraded whatever, and it seems like the main campaign slowly ramps up in difficulty, so you'll likely experience the dopamine rush of clearing easy levels and getting some heavy rewards at first. Does this mean every level is essentially a DPS race? Yes, that's exactly what it means. Now, obviously, elements, character upgrades, and placements can come into play, but given that this is an idle game, that's the experience you're gonna get. The The plus side about this is that if you do fail a level due to running out of time, it's very clear what you need to do in order to get stronger, so you'd go back into the mines and farm for more upgrade materials. I'm sure that once you approach the late game, there will be certain nuances and strategies that come into play. This game also has an incredibly generic elemental weakness system, where you play rock, paper, scissors across 3 elements, and the light and dark elements boost damage to each other. These idle games also tend to take a while to introduce all of its modes and features, so I'll only go over the ones I was able to unlock after 1 week of playing. There's also some side modes where you have a house dedicated to you, the only human in the realm, and you try to raise your fame level by crafting stuff and decorating your house. There's dispatch mechanics, and units have a fatigue gauge so you can't overwork them. The materials here are used to craft decorations, which will eventually upgrade your fame, which increases the amount of passive resource generation. Just random stuff to work on the side, so let's go back to gameplay. Each stage costs 10 stamina to enter, and I was surprised that while you do get a lot of it up front, the normal stamina cap is only like below 100 when you start playing, so you're likely to run out pretty quickly if you sweep some levels. On the side, there's dungeons to farm for other upgrade materials, but these modes use a different stamina currency. Most of the same rules for battling apply here too, but some of them will have a limit on how many stages you can clear in a single day. The progression model is presented in a clear way, so we can just work our way down the list. Every unit can naturally be leveled. It consumes this cake batter currency, and you can just hold down the button to max level at once. That being said, you're not allowed to overlevel, as the max level cap of the character is tied to your player level. However, there is a mechanic called overstepping. If a unit reaches a certain star tier, then they are allowed to go beyond your player level. This naturally means the 3 stars will be more powerful out of the box since you're allowed to pump more levels into them. Next up is the 6 slots of gear. Despite what you think, this system doesn't have any RNG stats, at least not yet during the time I played. It works exactly the same as how it works in Princess Connect. You can farm for these gear pieces at a certain level in the campaign, and after the non-starter tier gear, you have to gather the materials to craft it instead. If you play Princess Connect, this means your gear progression is also tied to your progress in the main campaign, as the higher tier gear pieces can only be farmed in the later campaign stages. So your power level there will overall rise gradually as you make it deeper into the campaign. The only RNG aspect here is that the crafting pieces for the gear may not be guaranteed to drop every run of the stage, so you could be stuck in a bottleneck for a while. This is due to the unit's stats being raised permanently if you are able to equip a full set of 6 gear in the same tier. So, if you farmed up all the beginner gear in the first day of playing, then the 6 gears are consumed and it gives them a power up in stats. Next, you would equip the next tier of gear, and the cycle continues. There are other meta progression stuff like the pastel boards where you can farm for these crayon currencies to raise more stats. There's asynchronous PvP, but I didn't really get into it. Some units in the game have a max limit break upgrade, where it appears they will have to reach star tier 5, have certain cards and gear unlocked, and you need a special currency farmed from one of these side modes. I'm not sure how rare and impactful these are, but it's pretty similar to the thing that Princess Connect does as well. I guess it'll be a long-term goal if you can get their star level high enough. Some of the identity cards needed to raise the star rank of standard characters are located in a separate dungeon area, and this one has a limited number of entries per day. After enough time has passed, you can raise the star level of some of them. I think they modeled it after Princess Connect as well, so as the game ages, more identity cards can be farmed here. You also get a universal card currency used to exchange for the identity of limited characters in a separate shop, but I can see that you'll be here for a while. They're obviously not gonna make getting those upgrades for the on-banner character easy after all. There's another game mode I checked out where it's sorta like a boss rush mode, but the twist is that the upgrade/buffer period happens during combat at the same time, so you'll be making upgrades and slotting gear in real time as you battle the monsters. The goal with a lot of these idle games is to create small, tangible goals that are realistically achievable in short play sessions, so you always feel the dopamine rush of getting past that next level barrier so your numbers go up. Progression is extremely streamlined, as this game is targeted towards casual players that want something on the side to relax to. There's a saying that gacha gamers don't know how to read, but don't worry, this game will hold your hand in discovering how simple it is. Basically, every single functionality and what you should be doing will be shown to you. While the story and the premise aren't exactly that interesting, it doesn't force you to go through long-winded story segments, so you can go straight to auto-battling and raising those stats. One more avenue of upgrades I want to mention is the star tier. This works like in Uma Musume or Princess Connect, as when you pull a character, they have a starting tier of either 1, 2, or 3 stars. You can get the tokens needed to break past their star tier in the shop, but in limited quantities. So it's gonna be rare. Alternatively, of course, you can just pull more copies of them. Breaking past the star tier increases stats and can utilize the overstepping mechanic even more, so they're allowed to be leveled past your player level to a more drastic degree. Eventually, you'll get some of the 2 stars to 3 stars, but from what I've seen, getting a natural 3 star to the next tier is gonna take you a while, unless you whale. Speaking of whaling though, let's see how you can pull more chibis. It costs 100 Gamba crystals to pull once, which is an oddly round number, so your pulls will be quite easy to calculate. The base rate for a 3-star is 3%, but just be warned that like most other idle games, the rate up for the on-banner chibi is not an equal 50-50. It's actually 0.6% in this game, so you're likely to get spooked more often than not. Unfortunately, it's also commonplace in idle games that there's no second rate up guarantee, so instead you have a cumulative spark system. How many times do you need to pull to spark the rate up? 300, which is quite a tall order, but I do need to state that this is quite common in this genre of gacha games. For some reason, not all the banners have the same rates in Pity. In the second tab, the spark is at 200 and the rate up chance is 0.8%. Just be wary of what you're pulling for. Although, one upside is that the devotion points, basically the pity token, does carry over to the next banner, so you don't have to worry about that. One thing I would like to point out is that a lot of idle games put power spikes behind pulling duplicates, so I wouldn't be surprised if raising the star level greatly buffs a unit in some way. The cards have their own gacha banner. I'm actually not entirely sure how the gear cards work, but I'm assuming that when you have enough of it in your overall inventory, you can select some of them to be available for pickup during levels, where the rest will be omitted. It goes without saying, every 3-star character will also have a signature card that you can get if you want to min-max. The rate is also a base 3% for a 3-star and a 0.8% for the rate up chance. As for how influential duplicate bonuses are, I don't know. I won't be doing a full breakdown of the stuff you can buy, but you have a lot of the whale bait, as well as 30-day subscriptions, premium battle passes, and step-up recruitment where you get a good deal if you use the paid version of the Gamba coins. I didn't see any weird flash sales or anything during the time I played, so that's at least something not thrown at your face constantly. Overall, the cash shop is what you would expect out of an idle game, but I wouldn't know how impactful these purchases are. Though I would just be careful to separate the cash shop from the tone of the game. It's evident that the lighthearted cartoon style can disguise the severity of certain monetization tricks. I mean, look at all these adorable chibis. You wouldn't have any problems dropping a few bucks here and there, won't you? I also want to talk about overall thoughts on the game now that I've had my hands on it for a week. If a game has idle gameplay, then it's not one that can rely on the complexity of the gameplay to carry the game long term. Instead, it either has to capture the audience by making the game world feel good to be a part of, or there's a constant stream of content to keep you busy when you auto the game in the background. Despite the genre having a somewhat spotty reputation for being shallow and cheap games meant to make you wail for more stats, I don't think a game just being an idle game is a problem. If you call a gacha game an auto battler, even if there's some evidence that you can play it as an auto battler, fans of the game might get upset at you, as you're almost hinting that the game mechanics are shallow enough that you can auto most content. The thing is that since there's mostly no agency during gameplay, it's easier to sell you more power as you can immediately see its effects when you do buy it. Games like this have a set it and forget it mentality, where you have a casual time raising your chibis while just setting your phone down and auto-battling in the background while you do other stuff. This may sound kinda counterintuitive as you're playing a game by not playing a game, but surprisingly, there's actually quite a big market for these types of idle games. This genre is something I don't tend to focus on too much anymore, but you may be shocked how well this simple gameplay loop can resonate with some people. Trickal is a game that banked on its unique and quirky art style, and with the help of the Speaki meme, managed to boost itself into relevance. I personally never seen any gacha game with this art style, and how the different chibis are almost drawn by crayons makes it stand out. The whole point of these games is to feel good to be a part of, so you'll be spending your time sharing moments with the chibis and pinching cheeks. In case you're looking for this exact experience, hey, I mean, there's no way to play Princess Connect in the West anymore, so this one might just scratch that itch. Anyways, let me know if you have tried out Trickal or you're interested in checking it out. If you want to see more gacha related content, subscribe to the channel. You can support for as little as $2 a month on Patreon. As always, thank you for watching, be sure to spend moderately, and have fun out there.